So I don't know about you, but this movie wasn't doing it for me, and it wasn't like really, it wasn't like bad per se. There are a lot of moments in it I'm like questioning like why they would even do this, what was the motivation, how'd they even get here. Like there are a lot of assumptions that have to be made, but they don't even bother like covering them up. For example, in the first two Star Wars movies, there are a lot of leaps in logic that you have to take to make those stories feel real. But the movies are really smart about how they do it, and you don't really like think about, well, why does this work? How does that work? Why is this even happening? Whereas in like say Episode 9, you're like, why is any of this happening? And it kind of felt like that in this movie. Now it wasn't like, again, the characters were really believable. I think it had to do with the script. The script was just not there, and I think it was directed and acted to the best ability I think anyone could possibly do, given what the script was. So anyway, it starts off kind of like how Star Wars Episode 6 starts off. A waste of time, really. Like, there's two opening scenes pretty much. There's one where she's 7 and she's competing in the Olympics, and then she, like, I guess she cheats. And so then her aunt stops her from throwing the spear to win the Olympics. And it really has nothing to do with the story, except they talk about the truth a lot. And they said no good hero is based on a lie because she cheated. And then there's a second opening scene. So yeah, that was pretty useless for the whole movie. Except you see that golden statue in the back, which ties into the end credit scenes and the armor that she is wearing towards the end of the movie. So that happens. And then they go about like 60, 70 years into the future from the last film, which is 1984. Why they chose 1984, I have no idea. I think one of the producers might have said like it was the height of American power, even though it was not the height of American power. I think the height of American power was before the Soviet Union collapsed and prior and after China started becoming a rising power. So this wasn't it. So she's saving a bunch of people. Someone pointed this out to me. I didn't even notice it, but apparently she was saving only women. But so it eventually shows up at this mall where they're robbing a jewelry store, which is a front for ancient artifact dealings for rich people, which was that was just also a dumb scene. So she shows up. How everyone knows who the 4 people are that are like robbing the jewelry store is beyond me. So one of them drops their gun, so it would make sense that that person would how they would know that, but it was done in such a way like you gotta wonder, how did they know? And of course Wonder Woman also knows that it was these 4 people somehow, even though like the only thing she saw when she showed up was the guy dangling a girl for whatever reason off of the balcony. There's going to be a lot of, for whatever reason they did this, because all of their decisions are dumb. So that happens, and it's just like, okay, obviously he's a bad guy. He's dangling a kid off of a balcony for some reason, trying to pull a Michael Jackson. Maybe this is what inspired him, because I guess it's before BG was born. So like obviously he's a bad guy, but all the other bad guys are telling this guy to put the person down. So how does she know about the rest of them? Anyway, so that ends, and then they show a lot of Diana being alone because she's still she's not over her dead ex-boyfriend who she dated for about a week, 70 years about before the beginning of this movie. And then it turns out that the FBI asked one of her newly found co-workers, Barbara, who's a zoologist, so obviously she's going to become Cheetah, and they play it off so dumb. Obviously she's going to be a villain, because it feels exactly like how they did the Joker in the Batman Telltale series, like John Doe. It was so obvious that he was going to crack and become some evil genius. And similar, they do that with Barbara, so eventually she becomes that. So anyway, Barbara is asked to identify one item in particular, what she deemed to be useless, by the way, which happened to be a dreamstone made by some god of lies. Diana wishes for Steve Trevor to come back, because that's her only wish. You'll find that throughout the whole movie. She's like, I need this guy in my life. For whatever reason. Yes, first boyfriend, first guy she's seen. So makes sense, I guess. And they're just on this huge journey. They go on this journey because this rich man, Max Lord, decides to who tried to buy it, donates a lot of money. He wants to be an oil man, and so he wants the wish stone, and then he wishes to become the wish stone, which is that's finally some smart decision making here. Anyway, so yeah, that happens, and then he, for whatever reason, he decides that he wants to own all the oil in the world, and it turns out this stone has been at the collapse of every civilization because they're all greedy. Nonsense. So yeah, that happens, and the movie just gets crazy from there. And of course, it does seem like they're focusing a lot more on Steve and Trevor than they are on Diana. And they're focusing a lot more on those two than Wonder Woman. They should have just named it the movie Diana, because it has more to do with Diana than it does with anything else. Obviously they win. But the whole movie, I'm just like, what is happening? And that's kind of how this review is going on, because I'm very confused on the things that they do. They just happen to go to the Smithsonian, assuming they're going to the one in Dulles. That's connected to the Dulles airport. They find a plane that is fueled for some reason. I think that plane can only go 4,000 miles with a extended tank, so it wouldn't get them to Cairo. Her powers are dwindling at this point because the monkey's paw. She is losing her powers, but she made a coffee cup invisible once, so she was able to miraculously make this whole plane invisible. Then she rescinds her wish eventually because she realizes she can't do anything without her powers. So Trevor, I guess, dies, and the guy becomes the original guy again, which he does show up at the end of the movie, because it's a Christmas movie actually, because it ends on Christmas. So that happens. So she rescinds her wish and she learns how to fly. That was actually a good scene, when she's learning to fly. And then like I guess she like knows where the guys are going, because this was the dumbest part of the movie. There are a lot of like dumbest parts of the movie, but so he wishes for like to have all the power that the president has, and he finds out that they have this satellite system that can touch everyone like through particles, I guess. So which was like, he even says it's a figure of speech, and you only get one wish, and he gives what's her face another wish, Barbara, and then so she becomes Cheetah because she wished to be like Diana, and now she's like, I guess, better, but not really, because Diana like drowns her in a pool of electric water. So what else happens? So yeah, so like I guess he's touching everyone while he's like on air, because well, it works. So that's another jump in logic, because you know he has to like physically be touching someone, and now he's just telling people to wish for things. And then Diana like destroys the TV, but like because she can't get close to him because he's like the wind of wish of the power of wishes is pushing her back. So she did, and then he goes into this like thing which is like a particle accelerator, and he's like he's doing all these like he's still talking and stuff, and apparently I guess people are hearing him, and then she like whips him, and everyone's making selfish wishes, which like you see all these people suffering right beforehand, so you would assume that there would have been like, oh, I just want all this nonsense to stop. The only selfless wish that was done was the guy's son. And I guess you could even like, if you even want to say that, it was kind of dumb. But then he goes back to his son. He's like, I'm a loser, but I still love you. And the son's like, I don't care if you're a loser. I love you because you're my dad. And that was nice, I guess. And then the movie just kind of ends, and it just felt like a pointless movie. Like nothing really happens. You're back exactly where you were. You know she doesn't get over Stephen Trevor because Batman antagonizes her about it in the Justice League. I guess it had to have been the Justice League because Batman v Superman was her first movie. It certainly wasn't as good as the first one, not to me. I liked it better, but it wasn't like bad. It was. I feel like if I had gone out and bought this movie, I would have a totally different opinion on it. But right now, as it is, I give it a 6 out of 10. Anyway, that's the video. If you liked it, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Peace.